Spam is now 12 weeks old and we've had a fun week. What we did the day after our last video was to take a trip to our local town.
It's a very grey and dark and wet November day, and I decided to bring the pups to our little town to do some exploring, just see what they'll do with some new sounds and sights, and see if I can do some training on walking on leash and maybe playing in a new environment. So I'm excited to see what they will do.
She was great with new people, children, and had a great time from when she came out of the car, but she did not like the sound and sight of cars nearby. And I made a few mistakes bringing her out that I thought I would share with you so that you don't make the same mistakes as I did. My first mistake, which turned out okay with Spam because she loves people, is to allow a child to hold her and kiss her. I wouldn't recommend doing that with a puppy or a grown dog if they're not very, very safe with children. I couldn't know what she would do because she's not that used to children. So that was really something that I should have been more careful about. She did great. She got kissed, and then when the child went to kiss her brother, she actually squeezed in between to get another kiss. So I would say she did perfectly, but I should have been more responsible and not allowed that to happen. Second thing that happened that I didn't like was that she reacted to a bike driving past us and she barked at it. So I need to make sure to give her more space when approached by vehicles. Third and biggest thing was that she really didn't like cars, and I brought her too close to the road where she was so upset that she at times didn't want food and she tried to hide in a corner. I would definitely recommend that you try to get the distance you need for your puppy to be happy, engaged in you, engaged in rewards, and not worried about the environment. This is hard when you want to bring your puppy out into the world because you want to give them experience, and it's hard to know what will overwhelm them. So I made a mistake in bringing her too close, and then I tried to get some more distance, which worked better, but she was still wanting to hide a little bit. The thing that I did was just allow her to hide within the length of the leash, and then anytime she heard or saw a car, I would throw some treats at her. And at this point we were at a distance where she was happy to eat treats. The cool thing that happened and that I'm really excited about is how she used her knowledge of training in this new environment where she was upset. So once she got a bit more comfortable in the situation, she started offering backing up onto something, which is so cool because she hasn't done it in any other environment than in our training room, and we haven't had that many sessions. But she found that ledge and she started backing up onto it, and I just rewarded that and thought it was really cool. And this is something that I think is so exciting about clicker trained puppies, is how they take control of their environment and start to experiment in new environments to see what will earn them rewards. So all in all, I think we need to do a lot more training on a bigger distance to cars because that seems to be the thing that she doesn't like. I'm really happy about how she reacts to people and that she's generally happy and optimistic when I bring her out in new situations. Yesterday we took a trip to our nearest indoor training arena to do some training with the grown-up dogs, but of course I brought Spam and she got to do some restrained recalls and some play. It's actually the first time that we've done restrained recalls and recalls with some more speed. I was fortunate to have some friends with me because it's hard to do it on your own. So once I got Spam playing with me, I had Thomas restrain her, hold her, while I run away, stop, call her name, and as she runs towards me, I take off running with the toy, so that it's all a game of chase. And she was really happy to chase me, and I think she had a great time. She was quite tired when we were inside the arena, so I decided to let her stay in the arena while we trained the other dogs. Thomas sat with her in his lap and gave her treats for good behavior, or gave her treats before she showed any bad behavior. She did great. I'm not sure if she will do that in a few weeks because it's very exciting to watch me run my older dogs, so I will be careful about that. But yesterday she did good, and I think it was a good thing that she was tired. The training that we've done at home is mostly just continuing what we started last week. I'll be going away for a couple of weeks and I didn't want to start anything too new. But I was really worried about not having added any cues, so I started to add the sit cue this week. I was not perfectly happy about the way she sits, and I still am not, but I decided to just start adding the cue. The way I add the cue is to say the word just as she finishes her reward before she starts the action. So I don't say sit when she sits, I try to say it before she starts the behavior. To someone watching the session from outside, it should actually look like she is responding to the cue, even though she hasn't heard it. Because I work with offered behaviors and I want a certain fluency before I add a cue, I can predict the behavior happening and therefore add the cue in just before it happens. But since her sit isn't perfectly predictable and also has some behaviors before the sit, like walking towards me, it's not perfect, but I still think that it's better to get started than to wait for perfection. So we've had a few sessions where I've started to add the sit cue. I've also tried to add it in our play sessions where I have the opposite problem that she's so quick to sit when I take the toy out that I don't really have the time to say the sit cue before she sits.
Sit. 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 Fri. Sit. Fri. Sit. Fri. Sit. Ja!
Another exciting thing that we trained this week was her target behavior. So we tried that the first week, and then I decided she wasn't ready for it, and we started with the perch work and the rear end awareness. And then this week I decided to just try her target again, and the difference was huge. All of a sudden she was a target genius. She would easily find the target, look for the target, and touch it with her paw. And I could, in the first or second session, start to add distractions like using the toy or showing food in my hand, and she would make a conscious effort to touch the target even in the face of distractions. So I was really happy about that, and I like target training because it is easy to add distractions because it's such a concrete behavior. And I'm just excited to see where this goes and to work more on it in different environments. We've also worked on her backing up. I've kept the small edge for her to back up onto and just tried to increase distance and reward straight backups. I'm not in a hurry to get her to back up onto things that are higher and more difficult for her physically. I just want to get a nice straight long backup that I can put a cue to. In everyday life, she's starting to show more interest in the other dogs when we're on walks. Today I realized that she doesn't always recall to me when I call her name, because the other dogs will start moving towards me when I call someone, and then she just lies down to herd them. So there's some stalking, eye, lying down, watching other dogs going on that is more exciting to her than my recall. So that's something that we need to work on, and I haven't really decided how to do it. Probably I will do a mix of different things. I could just not take her on walks with the other dogs so that she doesn't practice this herding behavior on dogs.
Fish.
Practically, I think I want to take her on walks with my other dogs, so what I'll probably do most of is work my recall more in other situations to increase the value of the recall. And secondly, reward her for offering attention to me on walks. So rewarding her every time she comes to me without me having to call her. And I think that will help her get more enthusiastic about coming to me when called. I'm leaving for a long trip this afternoon, and I won't see Spam until she's 14 weeks old. That's really sad. I wish I could bring her with me, but it's just not possible as I'm going to the US. So a very good friend of mine will take care of her and do some training with her, and hopefully I'll be able to show video from their training in our next episode. Thank you for watching, and see you in 2 weeks.